All right, toning a color or changing its intensity. Now remember, adding white is tints. Adding black is shades. And now we're working with intensities. And people do confuse the terms, but let's try to keep toning, the word toning, for intensity discussion. It means you take the brightest colors you have and you dull them. Well, adding white is a way to tone color, but we use it mostly in our thoughts to refer to value, how dark or light a color is. But let's take red. Let's take some red. Now the easiest way to tone a color is to put a little of its complement into it. So if you've made a color wheel and you have your color wheel, you look at your color wheel, red, opposite red on the color wheel is green. So if I put a little green into red, it should tone it. Or if I put a little blue into an orange or red-orange, it should tone it. Opposites on the color wheel. So let's put some red here, and let's put some green here. Now, until you know how strong a color is that you're working with, what its tinting strength is, it's best to put this color to the side and add it a little bit at a time. Now let's look. And you have just made a gorgeous toned red, very, very much like red earth, what we call red earth or red oxide. Some would call it, an English red. Let's look at yellow. What's opposite yellow on your color wheel? Would you believe? A little bit of purple. Again, put it off to the side. And add it a little bit at a time. And you've made yellow oxide. Add a little of this toned red. A little more. And you've made another earth color that we call raw sienna. See, bright, toned. Bright, light, value, tint, tint. But when you add white, this mix is not as bright as this. It's lighter, but it's not as bright. Let's look at that. And that brings some confusion. No, let's use the term now so we don't get confused. So we don't get confused. Our basic intent is to lighten the color, and this is called a tint. But you can see it is also toning it. So when you go tone a color, you can change the color's value. Look how much darker these got because I put a toner. See, these are pretty much the same value, but when you combine them, the result is darker. So that can happen. That can happen. That's intensity. How bright or dull a color is. So a quick look at the palette again. I have placed my basic hues. These are called hues, red, orange, etc. I've placed it across the center of the palette. I have placed black at the bottom, white at the top. Jeff and I were talking at break. Some art teachers, you know, you have to mix your own black. They don't believe that you should use a tubed black. That's a personal artist's choice. There are artists who believe you're really not an artist unless you mix your own colors. Well, that's a personal concept. I don't think you should ever be caught in that kind of situation or feel like you even have to make a comment about that. Every artist should be allowed free choice into what they choose and how they choose to go about making their colors. If you want a limited palette with a lot of room to do some exploring, consider your basic choices. Go very, very basic and start there. And discover what blue you want, what yellow you want, what red you want. I think part of your discovery should be to use safe colors. You notice I do not use cadmiums, but that's a personal choice. I must not say to my friend, don't use cadmiums because I don't like them or because they're bad for your health. My friend must choose what he or she wants to do because of what they like. But I do think, the nurse in me is going to come out now, I do think you should make your environment as safe as possible. And you can find books and you can go online and study, you know, the toxicity of things. But that should be part of your consideration, shouldn't it? After all, you're going to live with these pigments and use these pigments, breathe these pigments. I don't suggest eating them. I don't think they'd help your salad dressing. But your choice for a basic palette is yours. And then how far you want to mix from that is your choice. There's many, many wonderful artists who don't care to mix, and that's perfectly fine. Well, if you have any more questions about how to start, remember the DVD, and if you have other questions we can answer online for you, please let us know. Thank you for your time.